Now, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Gbajabiamila, has accused the state government over the setback suffered by the review of the 1999 Constitution. Gbajabiamila says the Constitution amendment process may not be concluded before the end of the 9th Assembly. Gbajabiamila spoke on Monday at the second edition of the Distinguished Parliamentarian Lecture Series organized by the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies in Abuja. The Speaker said the process is being stalled by some state assemblies that are yet to consider and vote on the bills. Now, the Senate and House of Reps had in March voted on bills seeking to amend the 1999 Constitution. According to Section 9, subsections 2 and 3 of the 1999 Constitution, the input of 2/3 of all the state assemblies, that is 24 states, is required for each amendment to be approved. Now, Arise analyst Kayode Otitoju joins us to discuss constitution amendment, the setback and the influence of state assemblies. Good afternoon, Mr. Otitoju. It's great to have you. Now, I want to start with a quote by Justice Abba Aji, who once stated that we are not unaware of the hanky-panky and subterfuge played by state governors against the independence and financial autonomy of state judiciary. He says it is pitiable eyesore with judicial officers and staff go through financially at the hands of state executives who often flout constitutional court orders to their whims and caprices. Now, this is, of course, in the broader context of when Executive Order number 10 was repealed by the Supreme Court, and that was the executive order where President Buhari had attempted to give autonomy to local government, to the LGAs. And of course, at the center of all of this are the State House of Assemblies, the judiciaries, and most importantly, the governors. In all of this, in the statement as well, I know there was an appeal made to Governor El-Rufai to say, please, can the governors stop hindering the processes that need to happen? My question is, who are the governors accountable to in this whole equation? Because it seems if there's an executive order, they had the power to appeal to Supreme Court to repeal it. So the president cannot push constitutional amendments through executive order, but then the state assemblies are also being stopped from doing the needful. So who has the power?
Who has the power? It's really very difficult to answer that question, because the problem we are having now in getting the bills passed to the final stage before it is sent to Mr. President for assent is at the state assembly level. And the state assemblies are being controlled or teleguided by the governors. Initially, about 66 bills were to be sent for assent or concurrent, but 44 were sent to the state of assemblies, already passed by the joint houses of National Assembly and sent to the State Assembly for, in compliance with the Section 9(2) of the Constitution, that is on review of, Constitution. Right now, only 14 had been passed by states and sent back to National Assembly. And the National Assembly requires minimum of 24 before they can do anything. And every arm of government is, trying to, put a sort of finishing touches to, their performances. The governors, all of them are buying spaces in newspaper and TV to showcase what they have been doing. The federal too, they are asking the ministers to come and, tell people how far they have gone. Then the performance evaluating criteria for the Senate and the rest is how many bills they are able to accomplish or passed. And right now they have 44 sent to the lower house for the House of Assembly for them to do their own, finishing touches before they send it back to the National Assembly. So as it were, just as the Senate President raised the alarm about a month ago, the speakers of the House of Rep is doing the same thing, that not that we haven't worked, we have done this much, but our problem is with the House of Assembly. And the House of Assembly, because their control is intricately linked to their governance. So the Senate President and other people are now telling El-Rufai to help them speak to his colleagues so that the state assemblies can, do their own work, or so that at the end of the day, there will be justification for, the review that is already done. And it doesn't take time. Once the houses of assembly do their own and pass it to the national, to get it and send to the president can still be accomplished this month. Because I'm afraid anything not done this month, by January, nobody will have time to be pursuing that, even the senators and whatever. So, in conclusion, the rivalry between these senators in particular and the governors, which started when they were to do primaries, is what we are suffering now, because then the legislators didn't want the governors, after leaving, to come to National Assembly as senators. Then the senators too, the governors too, through their control on House of Assembly, are saying, well, we will frustrate your effort unless you are able to pass bill on state police, legislative independence, and all sorts. So they brought their own, demand card too, so that if you don't do mine, we won't do yours. And that is why the two houses of National Assembly are, complaining of the state houses of assembly and the governors.
Well, Mr. Otitoju, you did say that if it's not done this year, you have concerns. And the president of the Senate, that's Ahmed Lawan, says he's optimistic that this can still be accomplished if they get the responses from the state houses of assembly, even if they have 1 month left. So if we're going to go by the timeline of your concern, they have about roughly 2 weeks thereabout. Do you think this can be accomplished, seeing that it's been relegated to the background since March? Are we being realistic?
That's why the Senate and they are begging El-Rufai to help them intercede, so that the remaining, because if they have 14 or 16 already sent, it means that they need about 8 or 10. Those 10 could still be, prevailed upon, and do it timely.
Now, what are the changes that need to happen to stop this impasse from happening in future? Because ultimately, it's the nation that suffers. The constitutional amendments that need to be made are noble, they're benevolent. We saw, for example, that's why earlier I referred to, for example, Executive Order 10, where the president did try to use his office to make some changes that needed to be made that couldn't be passed through the assemblies. And of course, they still meddled and they still overturned it. In your opinion, what needs to be done? Is there a change in representation, a change in the system that needs to happen to stop these blockages and to also take some of this power away from the governors over the work of the houses of the state houses of assemblies?
I think the only solution is the quality of people that are elected. Once matured people, people who read beyond the line, are elected to various levels, they will be seen and they will be more nationalistic in their approach to things. As per the Constitution is, is clear. There's nothing we can do about it. Okay? Boss.
Well, that's why we want to amend it.
Even when you amend, the function of the House of Assembly is still there. That of National Assembly is still there. And that of the President is still there when it comes to bills, either passage or whatever. And even initiating bills, any bills that is not executive bill, has to still come from the people. Then through town hall meetings and all sorts of things. So once it gets there, then it gets to the federal, legislative this thing. They consider through their committee, they work on it, then they send it to the House of Assembly. They look at it, the 36 states, through their maybe head of committee of, speakers, they look at it, and when it's okay, they pass it and send it piecemeal through the speaker, through the chief
whip.
Is it chief speaker? No, okay. the president, is it the president of committee of speakers or whatever? Anyway, they get it, then send it back to National Assembly. National Assembly look at it, send it to Mr. President for assent and whatever. All these are already stated in the Constitution. There is nothing we can do about that. But whether things will be done properly or expeditiously depends on the quality of people we vote to power.
Thank you so much. Arise news analyst, Mr. Kayode Otitoju, thank you for your analysis and thank you for joining us on Newsday.